Welcome back to United in Focus. Delighted as ever to be joined by Sean, Adnan, and Vatsal. We've a lot to get through. The international break is just upon us. No injuries to worry about. We have the derby coming up, and as well André Onana's loan exit, the Trabzonspor. So obviously reflecting on the international break, Manchester United can be happy that there's no injury concerns. There wasn't too much to talk about. Didn't have as many players as we usually have involved, especially with England, with no call-ups. Firstly, going to you, Sean, maybe one of the standouts was Bruno Fernandes. Portugal had a big win at the beginning of the international break, a 5-0 win over Armenia. What did you make of Bruno and Sean?
Yeah, in that first match, he was brilliant. He's been pushed forward back to that kind of number 10 position, playing behind Ronaldo. And then, as you say, in that first game, he was outstanding. Exactly what we want to see. Unfortunately, again, they were in action yesterday. They did beat Hungary 3-2, top their group. But Fernandes was much more subdued, much more poor. His stats weren't great. So not the kind of performance we're looking for going into the Manchester derby, but still, obviously, we'll all agree he's going to be on that pitch. He's going to be playing for us. He'll play the full 90 minutes. And as you say, the most important thing is we escaped without injuries.
Just on that, he seems to play maybe a bit of a more disciplined role. Adnan, do you think that will help United, that he's doing that at Portugal as well? Do you know, he's sitting a bit deeper, like he's being asked to under armour him, and that might suit us, really.
Yeah, he has. Roberto Martinez is doing exactly what Ruben Amorim should be doing with Bruno Fernandes. And it's been shown in some of the games where he's playing him right behind Cristiano Ronaldo because I was reading from other reports and other people saying, for example, that Vitinha has become a big part of Portugal's plans. And in the middle of the park, he's basically doing what Bruno Fernandes would have done 5 years ago, if not even more. So it gives Bruno the freedom to move up the pitch. And it kind of shows Ruben Amorim, for example, that, you know, with that tactical system, the two-man midfield, Bruno can't really sit deep and play it and make that much of an influence. He needs to be playing up front. And I think with where he's at right now, I think it's kind of just more or less rotating his engine now. Like Bruno is getting older. Like we have to accept that as a fact. He's still fantastic, but you have to really moderate him. And like when push comes to shove, you take him off in the second half, give him some time off the pitch. And like, even for Bruno Fernandes' own goodwill as well, he should be taking a bit of time out when he needs to.
So when you look at the stats, Bruno currently ranks top of the Premier League in creative metrics. You know, you look at chances created, shots, and whatnot. Are we stepping away from maybe some of his strengths? Or do you think, as Adnan points out, that he's kicking on, he's getting a bit older, we need to manage him? Do you think we're making the right move right now, or should we be maybe pushing him as a number 10?
I don't really think Bruno Fernandes ages. I think he will be playing for Manchester United in 20 years' time, playing 90 minutes and keeping Kobe Mainoo out of the team. But having said that, yeah, from a tactical point of view, it's certainly a dilemma because you brought Bryan Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha, so they're obviously going to play. Like Cunha's status for the derby remains a bit doubtful, but where else do you play there? So if those two are obviously going to play, then Fernandes only has one position left. So you can make an argument that we didn't need two number 10 so that Fernandes could have played further ahead and get a defensive midfielder in. But now that it has happened, he's trying to do the best that he can. And as you said, he has brought more discipline to the position. And obviously, he works so hard that those possession winning stats, by virtue of working hard, he'll always be right on top of those. But yeah, I think we're having to settle with Bruno in a deeper role rather than flourish in it.
And as well as that, on the international break, we also had Sesko involved, a few other players, but Sesko grabbed the headlines given that he was given 2 starts, which is better than what he's been getting at United. So perhaps we can see him in the starting lineup for the Manchester derby. What did you take from that, Sean? You know, he did get plenty of minutes on the pitch. Tough games for Slovenia. They didn't create many chances, but he did okay, I guess.
I think, as you point out, the most important thing is for him to get minutes at the minute. He didn't have a great pre-season. Obviously, it was a bit broken up. He obviously joined us, not quite at full fitness. The most important thing for us is for him to build up that fitness and form ahead of the Manchester derby. It seems he's now ready to start matches. We'll see if Amorim throws him in. I hope he does. We could do with him kind of getting off the mark as quick as possible, couldn't we?
Adnan, does he show him into the derby? Is he ready?
Yes, you have to roll the dice with him now because we don't have Rasmus Højlund anymore. Joshua Zirkzee is not a natural striker. You can try the Mbeumo Cunha experiments all you want. We don't know about Cunha's situation at the moment, but like essentially he is our striker. He's the man that we spend an excess amount of money on to beat Newcastle to sign, and he needs to get onto the pitch. It's the only way his confidence is going to get built. He is a very talented player. You know, Ralph Rangnick spoke highly of him. We always know what Ralph Rangnick says about Manchester United. It haunts us as well. But he has spoken really highly of him. And as Sean's pointed out as well, he's played the international break. He's played minutes. Ruben Amorim can't do this little cat and mouse game with him and being like, here's some minutes, here's that. He is your striker. Put him on the pitch, play him. And if he makes an impact against Guardiola, great. If he doesn't, next game, and you just keep playing him, see where he goes.
I think there's just so much excitement from United fans that we haven't really just got a good glimpse of him yet. We've only seen little bits, and it's very difficult for a player to perform in those scenarios. And when you play for Manchester United as a striker and you're not scoring your first two or three appearances, you get the columns where people are saying you've already a flop and you're this expensive, which is totally unfair. Very young striker, hasn't been given, as we said, a start in Premier League yet, and hopefully that comes. Speaking of a player that won't be at Manchester United is André Onana. And I know there's a few people smiling at their screens at that. But he joins Trabzonspor. Well, he's in the process of joining the Turkish side on loan for the end of the season. We'll double his wages. Vatsal, this move, did you see it coming in the summer? You know, there was kind of talk that Amorim was happy with Onana, but then in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks after the season began, it totally changed.
Yeah, I mean, Amorim was happy with Rasmus Højlund as well until he wasn't. So I think we all know how he operates by now. The moment he got his replacement, he was out of the door. And obviously, asking for a pay rise on a dodgy hamstring didn't help. So he has got his pay rise. Probably that's what he wanted anyways. So good luck to him. And I don't think he will be missed. If Onana ends up getting missed by United, something has gone horribly wrong.
John, are you a little bit surprised that there wasn't more interest in Onana, given his, what he brings to the table before he came to United? He's played in the Champions League final, did well at Inter Milan, Ajax. Are you surprised there wasn't a bit more interest in his signature?
Yeah, in a way, not really, because he's been the own creator of his downfall, really. I mean, the last 2 years has been shocking. We've completely lost confidence in him as a fan base. So how another club can put that confidence in him, it almost looks like a bad signing bringing him in, because every fan of that club's then going, oh, now we've got to deal with him. So I think it's a win-win for everyone involved, to be honest. We lost confidence in him. He needed to go with AFCON on the horizon. Senne Lammens has been brought in on deadline day to be our new number one. It's a win-win for everyone. Let's just forget about it. Move on. New chapter.
Moving on, there does inflict a lot of pressure on a young goalkeeper at Manchester United, the arrival of Senne Lammens. And we're going to see over time how long it takes him to become first-choice goalkeeper. But it leaves us with Benadir and, of course, Tom Heaton. Adnan, what's your pecking order as things stand going into this weekend?
I would put the new keeper at the top straight away. That's my current pick. I think we have to try him, and I think he's an unknown quantity, and I think he really just needs to be thrown in the deep end, same as Sesko, in terms of getting him on the pitch, playing minutes, starting the match. I would probably put him top, then I would put Bayındır at second, and then Tom Heaton third, because I know people are scrambling for Tom Heaton, a lot of fans, but we don't know what Tom Heaton's like right now. He signed a new contract in the summer, and he's a big figure in Ruben Amorim's dressing room in terms of a leadership role. And it's great to have him, and obviously people at the club always speak really highly of him, but we don't know what Tom Heaton's like in net. And it only takes, the first 20 minutes of an absolute chaotic first half for then Ruben Amorim try to bring Bayındır on, or something else happens in the derby. So I think that's probably the order I'll go with. I think I would put the new keeper on straight away just to see where he's at and get him the experience and show him what English football's like, because I think he's going to get a bit of reality check with how physical that league is.
Interestingly, Andy Mitten is a well-respected reporter when it comes to Manchester United. He said that people that he trusts are telling him that Heaton is the best goalkeeper as things stand now. Lammens has only arrived at the club. They're obviously speaking without having seen him in action. But it's an interesting one. The fans aren't alone with those cries. Lammens does come with lots of pressure on him. There's no denying it. Some newspapers and channels have made it very clear that they're going to jump on that pressure before he even plays for United. Vatsal, how does he deal with that? Obviously, coming to Manchester United, it's sink or swim for a goalkeeper. We've seen that with Onana. Had a tough start, never really bounced back. What can we do to ensure that it doesn't go that way with Lammens?
I think you should be looking at the positive side of things because he's not replacing a club legend like David De Gea or Edwin van der Sar. Like, the bar is so low. He makes a save, a ball that's coming straight at him, and he's going to be the next best thing. That's the bar right now in Manchester. So that's something to build upon. And obviously, if he plays against Manchester City, start is half the battle. So if you play that game well, even if you make a couple of confidence-inducing saves, then you get in that cycle where more confidence gives you better performances, and then so on. Pressure from how much I've seen of Senne Lammens and what I've heard from him, he looks like he's a very balanced kind of a player. Like, Onana had a very rambunctious personality from the get-go. Like, what he heckled Maguire, I think, on his debut, and then got lobbed from the halfway line. So that was quite a debut. So I think as long as he keeps his head on his shoulders, just calm, never too high, never too low, I think he's that kind of player. So it should be good.
You're bringing me back to the days of Edwin van der Sar, and there was just such a calm presence between the sticks at United. And I tell you, I'm not the only one that longs for that. Now, all eyes turn to Sunday, City in the derby. They're in mixed form going into that game. Pep Guardiola's side, they haven't had the start that many expected them to have. And as things stand, United are currently above them in the table. We won't get too giddy about that just yet. We've got a big job to do at the weekend. Sean, they have a number of injury concerns. I think the list right now is at 10. Do you believe this United team can take City by surprise and take advantage of that?
I really do. I'm weirdly confident about the Manchester derby this weekend. I think it's a fantastic time to play them. I think, as you pointed out, they've got injuries. They're not in great form. There's question marks around Pep Guardiola for probably the first time in years of, is he the right man to even lead them forward? It's the perfect time for us to capitalise on that. And actually, Ruben Amorim's got a great record against Guardiola. I was looking at it this morning. He's only lost 1 in 5 against Guardiola. Obviously, last season was a draw at Old Trafford, and at the Etihad, we won it in the last minute with Amad Diallo. We'll have a repeat of that again, I think.
Fingers crossed. Obviously, United have a few injury concerns of their own before the break. We had Cunha and Mason Mount picking up knocks, and we haven't been given any specifics on that to know if they'll be available. But Dallo is another doubt. Martinez won't be available. So what are you expecting from United? A counter-attacking display? Bruno Fernandes' creativity cause upset for City?
I think he's not going to sit back and search for the counter-attacks because Amorim has really wedded to the style that we have to start dominating games. We have to start being on the front foot. We cannot play like underdogs all the time. So I think we'll try to match City at their own game. How well we can do that, it remains to be seen. But I'd rather have United in the next step of their evolution instead of just trying to get a smash and grab again, because that win at the Etihad last season was memorable, but it effectively came from a long ball and then a finish out of nowhere. So as long as we perform like we did against Arsenal, then I really don't mind the result, which is a pretty big thing to say considering we have just won 1 game of the 3. But in these games, I'm still looking more for a performance than a result at this point.
That's a good point. Adnan, do you expect United to go head-to-head then with City? Because Vatsal does mention the game against Arsenal. We dropped points, but I think most people say we deserved the win there. Do you think with the results that City have thrown up this season, that we're ready now to go at them this weekend?
I think it's for both sides. I think it's for both Guardiola and Amorim. I think the fight starts in the dugout and goes onto the pitch because both of them need this win. I think you can't really walk away with a draw because City are surprisingly below us in the league table. And, a win for us pushes us right up into that top picture and it kind of rewrites the narrative. And I think that is an important part where both teams are going to attack and try and get a result from this because they can't just play for a draw at this point. There's too much in jeopardy. And I think it's also a little bit of a weird situation in this game. It's almost like a coin toss because it's like people can write off City and can write off Guardiola, but you never write off a wounded animal. And like he is someone who has just basically been inevitable since he's been at Manchester City. And I think it's one of those things where we are playing still a very tough team and we can't be complacent because we were complacent against Grimsby and that result turned out very interesting. I know I'm not allowed to mention the podcast, but it was a result that kind of painted a picture for United. And I think we need to attack, we need to dominate, we need to put a solid performance in. And we have done that against City as well. And Amorim's had Guardiola's number in the past, so fingers crossed it happens again.
Sean, the lads are suggesting that we're going to go at them, which is great to hear. What's the realistic outcome?
As we say, if we can perform like we did against Arsenal, that's all we can really ask for, to be honest. If we can go out and play them at their own game, play our own game. We've seen through the numbers and the stats that we've deserved more than we've got from this season. So if we can do that, but actually finish our chances, we can score goals there. We know they're vulnerable defensively, especially when you compare it to Arsenal, who are one of the best defensive sides in the league. We can score goals. We've got great attacking players now. Let's go and get a 3-1 win.
Vatsal, who can be United's most influential player against City at the weekend?
Why not go for a repeat by Ahmad? Because he hasn't really set the world on fire this Premier League season. He's also undershooting his XG, which is pretty much the theme for every United player this season. So I think confidence means a lot in these games, and he will carry that confidence that he can deliver at the Etihad. And I would love another handshake towards Pep, which he blanks.
We're going to move on quickly to the rapid fire panel segment, where we have 3 questions for each. I'm going to go with you first, Adnan. Will Bruno influence the derby?
Yes, 100%. Both for good or bad. Depends on the situation.
You're sitting on the fence then. Sean, is there a risk in trusting Lammens too soon?
There is, especially if you just look at the fact that Haaland's just scored 5 goals for Norway. It's going to be a huge task as a debut game, but we've got to do it. We've got to run the risk.
Vatsal, I'm going to go with you for a bold prediction from the game.
Okay, so Benjamin Šeško scores his first Premier League goals, and if that's not bold enough, Senne Lammens will be the man of the match. That's not a very good sign, but we need that confidence from the goalkeeper.
Was that plural goals then, by the way?
Yes.
I thought so.
Well, the other side of it too, and we didn't with Lammens, is City are going to test him. It's his first appearance. If he does play, they're going to get some shots off early, I suspect. So he will be busy, I'd imagine, if he does play. But we want to leave you on that note. Will Bruno shine? Will Lammens rise or sink? It's all going to be decided in the coming days. And we'll be back to you again next week with another episode of United in Focus. We hope you enjoyed this one. Hit subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll be back to you again next week.